Sit David.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests, 239 years ago, 13 colonies under the rule of what was then known as the British Empire came together to form an independent and free nation. A nation in which American colonists became American citizens. A nation in which colonies became states. And a nation that celebrates its independence and freedom every 4th day of the month of July. But one of the many freedoms we celebrate is outlined in the First Amendment of the Constitution, the most famous one, the freedom of speech. But my purpose here today is not to explain to you the rights granted to us through free speech, but rather to broaden your perspective on the specific God-given right. Over the past couple years, or should I say the past year, we have seen dramatic changes take place in the United States. The slow but eventual legalization of marijuana, the nationwide legalization of same-sex marriage, the lowering and banishment of the Confederate flag in many southern states 150 years after the end of the Civil War. Though these events may leave us in a good national feeling, which they do, we fail to recognize the opposition against them. We live in a society today that ignores and censors the opinion of the minority while projecting the so-called right opinion as fact. We live in a politically correct society, or so I thought. A week and a half ago, I was in Gainesville, Florida, visiting a friend at the University of Florida. And as I was walking down University Boulevard, one of the main streets in downtown Gainesville, I was walking up by this bar in which there was a young African-American gentleman and his coworker having a break together. And I heard this young gentleman talking about the recent Charleston shootings and the banishment of, and all the controversy over the Confederate flag. And he said something that I didn't really expect him to say. He said, "I live in small town Florida. I see Confederate flags all the time. Heck, I even have a Dukes of Hazzard t-shirt with them waving a Confederate flag on it. And really, to me, it's just a flag." And that really surprised me, because he recognized that someone else's freedom to wave a Confederate flag, even though to me and most of you personally, it represents rebellion, betrayal, and slavery. But what he recognized was their right to wave this flag, or any flag in that matter. Anyone here has the right to wave a Nazi flag without being persecuted or beaten up by police. Anyone has the right to run down the street with a Confederate flag, beating up what they call as the N-word, which I'm not going to say. But if I had a choice to join a movement which would ban the Confederate flag permanently, I mean, no one could even show it in public, I wouldn't join it. And I'll tell you why. Because that's someone else's right. And that's really the cost of freedom and democracy that we have here. That we have to tolerate other people's opinions and the way other people express themselves, even though we may not see them as fit, but they do. And they may see us as unfit for society, and they may say we need to make a law against them the same way some of us may say we need to make a law against them. But I wouldn't do it, because I believe that in a free and democratic society, everyone has the right to fly whatever flag they want, to say whatever they feel is right, whether it's politically correct or not, which I'm 100% against, because I believe political correctness is really the barrier of free speech. Who's to say that you are wrong and I am right? Who's to say that because you're against gay marriage, that you like to wave the Confederate flag and use the N-word everywhere, that you're wrong? Personally, I think they're wrong, but nobody has the right to say that you're wrong, I'm right, I'm going to take your right away. And the same thing with same-sex marriage, which is a very historical event that we're living through right now, and I'm 100% for. But of course there are others in the US today that are totally against that, and I can understand why. They may see it as sick or disgusting, and trust me, I have personal friends of mine who see it as not only a sin, but like a disgusting act, but really I don't care. Because I personally believe that the government, or anyone for that matter, has no business who you sleep with, who you decide to marry, or who you decide to spend your life with. because that's your personal liberty. And what also bothers me is that the people who are against it, they're censored. You don't see them in the media that much. Only what the media perceives as right, only what is politically correct. What happened with Christian bakers when they refused to make a cake for a gay couple that was getting married? They were sued for $135,000 because the gay couple was offended. Now, we get offended almost every week, but we don't take it to court. But hey, at least it shows that the justice system works, in a way. But as I said, in 1776, when our founding fathers were debating, everyone's opinion was heard and taken into consideration. We don't see that today. Now, I'm not talking through a liberal or conservative, Democratic, Republican point of view, because I'm none of those. I'm pretty much very, very much independent, because I don't believe that any political party or faction could hold or satisfy my political views to an extent. I used to be a part of a party, but I chose to go in a direction I saw fit for myself, that I have the freedom to do so. And many said that, Andrew, you're crazy. You have to be part of a political party to be taken seriously. I go, no, I don't. George Washington didn't believe in political parties. Neither did John Adams, until he founded, my history's messed up. I think it was the Whigs, but I'll get chewed out for that later by some of the history buffs. But everyone's opinion was heard. No one was censored. Everyone was taken into consideration. And what I'm seeing now is more of a shift, in my opinion, and I know this may upset some of you, because some of you may have these views, more towards a leftist view rather than a right. Now, the bald eagle has two wings for a reason, a left wing and a right wing. It can't fly with just one. So what I'm trying to say here today is, let your voice be heard, whether it's politically correct or not. And I'm about to get the buzzer, but let me say this in fact, say this last fact. We're afraid to come out and express our feelings because they may seem unpopular to most. Whether it's with our parents or with our professors or even with our own friends, we can't even trust them because we'll be filed out as, that guy or that person. So really, I'd like to quote Ronald Reagan in his I'm sorry. It's fine.
Can't do it, bud.
No, it's fine. I'd like to quote Ronald Reagan in his going away speech when he was leaving office. And he said that at the time, this national feeling is good, but freedom is something that is special and rare. Thank you.